Welcome, everybody. This is Annica Törneryd from Act to Exceed. Today, I have the honor and the opportunity to interview someone I really enjoy listening to because she had a podcast that is awesome. It is Kelly Roach, the Unstoppable Success Coach. She's a former NFL cheerleader. I don't know if you've seen pictures of what they do, but that's intense stuff. You're an award-winning you're award-winning in your corporate career. Have broken every single sales record for a Fortune 500 company in their whole sales history, if I'm correctly informed. And you're a mother, a wife, and now a published author. Congratulations!
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here on the show with you today.
Thank you. Can you fill us in for the things I didn't say? What else can we say about you?
Yeah, well, the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning, Annica, is helping entrepreneurs to make 6- and 7-figure leaps in their business. So I run a company called Kelly Roach Coaching, and we do coaching programs, mastermind, online courses, and just basically do everything we can possibly do to help entrepreneurs achieve their goals and dreams. So that's really the passion of my work, and really where the majority of my time is focused.
Yeah. Awesome. So your book, Unstoppable, 9 Principles for Unlimited Success in Business and Life. I have my Kindle copy, but I just wanted to get it. But I'm actually a book person, so I'm waiting for my paper copy to arrive. I couldn't stop myself from reading. And so the reason you wrote this book, I'm going to quote here, to help people understand that with the right mindset, strategy, and actions, you can achieve everything you want and live the life you may only think is possible in your dreams, which is awesome, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And another line I had to highlight. So now I know how to highlight in Kindle, which is not.
There we go. I don't know how to do that. That's a skill right there.
It was a mistake that I found out. So I choose colors. So this one is pink, but it says, each day is a gift and a new opportunity to be the best you can in everything you do. I love that.
That's what I live by every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so we'll get back to your book. I have some questions there. But so I want to ask you right now, what is the best part about your life? What is it you enjoy the most right now in your life?
The best part of my life right now is definitely being a parent to Madison, my daughter that's 2, and getting to raise her together with my husband. So I would say Madison's the best part of my life, but getting to do it together with my husband is really what brings me ultimate joy beyond anything else I could ask for.
Yeah. Babies are sweet.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have daily habits to do your best and be your best every day? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first thing that I do, well, it starts the night before. So for me, I have kind of my 2 to 3 hours of power every single day. I'm not someone that burns the midnight oil. I don't work till 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning. I'm very, very structured with my time and very focused. And I also believe in, making time for family and making time for work and being 100% at whatever you're doing. So the night before, I basically lay out what the key, most important bottom line objectives that I want to accomplish the next day are going to be. And what I do is I make sure that I map out exactly when they're going to happen, how they're going to happen, and I get them ready to happen the day before, so that when I launch into my day the following day, I go right into kind of those high-powered bottom line result type activities. And then whatever else comes on my plate throughout the day comes on my plate, but I really focus on 2 to 3 hours of core work that's going to help with the big picture things that are going to move the business forward. So that's, the night before I get that prepped. The day coming into the day, it's already mapped out. I know what it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and I just do it. I find a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in planning and preparing and getting ready to do it. And then, they kind of work on getting ready to do it. And then by the time they get to the doing it, time's up.
Yeah.
And there's no progress, right? So that's a big thing. And then for me, the first thing that I do every single day is a gratitude meditation. So I take a few minutes at the beginning of the day, really try to get in tune with all of my blessings, all of the things that I'm thankful for, and really try to put things in perspective. Because as an entrepreneur, which I'm sure you know, the course of every day is like this, right? You're 1 minute, you're high, you're like, yes, this is working. Everything I've worked for, my goals and dreams are happening. And then 5 minutes later, you get an email and you're like completely deflated. And then you're back up again and then you're down. So the biggest thing for me is perspective and gratitude, and really understanding how blessed we are in every moment of every day. And that, you know, what we get to do, the fact that we have the freedom to pursue our dreams as entrepreneurs is a gift on top of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of the things. There's a lot of structured things that really help me to manage my time, stay focused, stay productive. But those are just a couple.
Okay, I'm curious because this is something that I do. Do you actually do that prepping in bed or by the dinner table, or do you write it down, or does it happen in there?
No, I write it down. I'm a very visual person. So I have a huge, like 5-foot whiteboard in my office. And then I also have like notebooks. I like to actually write things. Like I do work on the computer, but I really find that when I write something down, to me, it feels so clear. I can like put my hands around it, right? So I do. I actually laid in bed last night and I got ready for the next day, and I just listed out, okay, these are the things that I'm going to work on tomorrow morning. I got up, I got them done before our call today. It's 10 o'clock here, and I'm already pretty much done the most important things that I needed to have done for the day because of that system that I follow.
Awesome. Love it. What is the biggest lesson you've learned so far in your career?
You know, I think the biggest lesson is that patience coupled with persistence is really what's going to help you to achieve anything that you want. I think most of the times when someone is not able to attain one of their goals, it's because of the lacking in one of those two things. Either a lack of patience and not being able to see that it is a marathon. It's not a sprint, you know, it's a marathon, and you have to be in it for the long haul to accomplish anything of meaning and significance. And then the second thing is persistence. So it's just the fact that, you know, things of value, things of consequence don't happen overnight. And they also don't go well the first time. And that you have to be ready to do something over and over and over again and refine it and test it and work to improve if you want to be successful. So I think it's the combination of those two things.
Okay, that's wise words right there. In your book, you share your thoughts on freedom, and that freedom is not really free, that we have to sacrifice or give something up in order to get what we want more. What sacrifices or choices have you made in your life to get to where you are today? Many sacrifices. You know, when I started my corporate career, I was very determined to get promoted and move to the top of the organization very, very quickly in my 20s. And I was able to do that. I got promoted 7 times in 8 years. But in order to do that, I was the first person in and the last person out every single day. I didn't take a lunch break. I worked on the weekends. I sacrificed my personal life. I really sacrificed a lot. And there were pros and cons to that, right? Like I gave up a lot to achieve that. However, the learning opportunity that I got getting into a very high level leadership role is what's helped me to be successful in my own business now, where I do have freedom and where I don't work nights and I don't work weekends and I set my own schedule and, you know, I get to live with purpose. So again, you know, up front, I sacrificed a lot to achieve that success early on, but then later down the road, now I get to enjoy the benefits of that. So I think there's seasons. There's seasons for things. You know, there's seasons of leaning in and working really, really hard and giving it everything that you've got. And then there's other seasons for enjoying and celebrating and being present in the success that you've created, right? Yeah. Okay. So in your book, Unstoppable, you share a moment that defined the outcome of your life pretty much. And so this is a little bit personal, but there was a new lunch lady serving lunch in middle school. Can you share a short version of that story for us?
Yeah. So I get tears in my eyes even just thinking about that. So you know, I came from a family, we struggled financially, like terribly. And it was really the centerpiece of our entire life. There were 5 kids in my family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Obviously, I mean, even to put 5 kids in daycare would be like two incomes in and of itself. And my dad worked for a nonprofit. And so we always struggled with money. It defined every decision that we made, every argument in the house. And, being a kid, that affects you pretty dramatically, right? And I was so sick and tired of being shaped by that. And I think that's why I chose the path that I did with my career and my future. But going back to that moment, basically we were on the free lunch program and all the lunch ladies knew we were on the free lunch program. So this is back in the day where they collected, envelopes with our coins in it, right? And all the lunch ladies knew. They always just grabbed our envelopes and they tossed them in the pile. They never opened them up. Well, there was a new lunch lady one day and she didn't know and she ripped it open. There was nothing in there. And I don't even remember. I still can't remember like what I said or what I did. I just remember being like so mortified and just like, I cannot believe I'm in this situation right now in front of my friends at school, like in front of all of these people. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, no, like it's not going to be like this for me. And I've worked jobs since the day I was able to work. I have worked. I had 3 jobs all throughout college. That's probably why I had the fierce work ethic when I started in my 20s with my corporate career, because I just decided, I don't want someone else deciding for me. I want to take responsibility for my own circumstances and my own experiences and my own future. And I do believe that we all can be wealthy. And that's part of why I wrote the book, because I think too many times people think that they're a victim in their own life. None of us are victims. None of us are victims. We all have a choice. Now, whether or not we make the sacrifices to get the financial freedom, that's up to each one of us. For me, I was willing to make the sacrifices to get the financial freedom because it was that important to me. But, it's one of those things where you can't pick up the stick without both sides, right? Like if you want the result of the money and the freedom and the lifestyle, you have to be willing to make the sacrifices and do the work that goes along with that.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. What are some of the things you would have done differently if you were to start your own business today, knowing now all the things you've learned along the way?
Yeah. You know what? One of the things that was most successful for me right away in my business was Facebook marketing. I got a lot of clients from Facebook marketing right out of the gate. And for 4 years, I outsourced that. And I spent a lot of money outsourcing that. And it brought me a great return on investment, but I also lost a lot of the profit from doing the advertising by paying someone else to do that. So if there's one thing I would go back and do differently is I would have learned that myself from day one. Anybody can learn anything if they're willing to set their mind to it and do the work. And I wish that I had, learned that for myself, because I would be a lot further along today than I am. So that's kind of a great tip for anyone that's getting started today. And especially because Facebook advertising, there's no barrier to entry. You can start with $5 a day. So virtually anyone can get started growing their business that way.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, when you start your own business, there are so many things you need to know, like everything. Whereas when you're employed, you just have to know your job well. You have to know everything. But being an entrepreneur is everything from tax papers to client contact. So what are 3 ingredients that help create a successful business, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, I think definitely you have to know what you don't know, and you have to seek to go learn those skills. So exactly what you just said, Annica, I think a lot of people don't realize that in starting a business, you will have to go out and learn specific skills to be successful. It's not just about being good at your craft. You have to learn sales. You have to learn marketing. You have to learn how to build online infrastructures and how to convert. You have to decide what your mechanisms are for lead generation and how you're going to take them through the funnel and convert them, right? You have to, learn how to position and price and package yourself. So I think the first step is realizing that you have to go out and learn those skills and finding someone that is, and that's kind of the second step I would say, is finding someone that's the best at everything that you need to learn and going and taking their course or joining their program or working with them directly, so that instead of you kind of floundering around for years trying to figure it out yourself and wasting time and wasting money, that you go find someone that's already doing what you want to do and is the best at doing it and learn it from them. So I would say the second big thing is finding someone who's the best at doing it and learning the system that they've already put in place and taking all the guesswork out of the way for you.
Yeah. I was, I'm just going to add to that. I've made so many mistakes on this point because I'm a little bit of a control freak and also tend to think that I'm sure I can do that. So yes, it's a good thing to want to learn things, right? But at the end of the day, you cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared and willing to invest in getting someone has to do the things that you just can't invest a year in learning to do it, or unless you have millions waiting in the bank.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me that has helped me to succeed, because my background was in leadership and coaching, and I was so used to hiring people and training them. That's been a strength of mine in my own business now. And it's something that I hired a virtual support company before I even had my first client, because I knew that my growth would be accelerated tenfold if I had help, so that I could focus on sales and marketing and working with clients and get help with all of the administrative and operational things that people a lot of times get stuck with.
Yeah. So do you have a secret strategy? What's your best strategy to deliver at your full potential?
I think my best strategy is, number one, knowing what my peak hours are. Like, I think you have to really know yourself well. I know for me, I can get more done from 5 to 7 in the morning than most people get done in an 8-hour workday. So I leverage that time. Like, I get what needs to be done in that time. And for other people, like, they're night owls and they might have 2 hours. Like, everyone has a couple hours in the day that they're just like sharp. They're on fire. They have the best energy. They have the clearest thinking. They have the highest potential to really get stuff done. I think people need to focus more on working in their peak and less on the number of hours that they're working. Because a lot of times I see people running themselves into the ground on the hamster wheel, killing themselves working, but they're not really accomplishing anything. And the other thing is I focus really, really heavily on bottom line objectives. So, as entrepreneurs, we have 1,000 things coming at us all day long, every day. And it's so easy to get pulled into so many different things that feel important or seem important, or that you think you should be doing because everyone else is doing. You have to know, like, where are your top 3 sources of clients, and make sure that the majority of your time is aligned with objectives that are going to drive that. So for me, that's, webinars, that's podcasting, being a guest on other people's, being a guest on my own, and doing a really amazing job servicing the people that are already in my pipeline and communicating with my network that's already kind of engaged in my brand. And I think it's about knowing, where does the money come from? And what can you do to expand and perpetuate those things, and really keeping it simple. Again, 3 to 5 things. I think people are focused on 35 things, and that's why none of those 35 things are brought full circle and actually successful.
Yeah. So that is actually my next question. I was going to ask you, in your opinion, what's the most efficient way to promote your business? I mean, it depends on what you do and who your market is, but there are podcasts, webinars, live networking, online networking, write a book, have a YouTube channel. So what's your advice to someone who's willing to do everything, but has to pick, let's say, 1 or 2 main things to focus on?
Yeah. So in the beginning, when you're in cash flow stage and you're trying to get to the point where you have enough money coming in to, like, cover your bills, invest in hiring, invest in advertising, like, you're still working on maybe your first, 10 to 15K a month, right? The first thing that you want to really master is the strategy consultation. So getting people to request a time on the phone with you where you can spend some quality time with them, get to know them, understand their problems and challenges, and sell them into a product or program. So I would say the first basic thing, if you're in cash flow and you're still kind of not really at the point of, like, scaling, right, would be that, because that's very high impact, and because you can close clients consistently every single week from that, and because you're spending time on the phone, you can oftentimes make a much higher dollar sale than if you're selling, virtually. So I would say that's the first thing to really conquer and get your hands around. And there's a lot of different ways that you can drive people to that. Phone calls, emails, newsletters, all the different ways that you do that. So that's one thing. And then when you get beyond that, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think what it is, Annica, is pick it and commit. Because again, what I see, and I work with my clients on this all the time, and whenever I can get one of my clients to lock into a specific strategy and commit to it, they always succeed. And it's not about a right or wrong strategy. I have some clients who are doing multi-six figures using LinkedIn as their primary strategy. Other clients are doing that using Facebook advertising. Other clients are doing that selling to local companies. Other clients are doing that with a combination of podcasting and webinars. So it's not right or wrong, but it is commit. Commit with all your passion, with all your energy, and work at it and work at it and work at it until it's performing at the level that meets your goals for new client generation. Because again, the biggest challenge that I see entrepreneurs have today is they're darting, from here to there and everywhere, and they're participating in everything, but they're conquering nothing. And so focus, simplify, have those set 3 things that you're going to do every single day. And that's where you're going to see, real results come from.
Yeah. And I can only agree because I spent almost a year doing non-revenue generating activities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was very painful. But so yes, you do your podcast, and which I very much enjoy listening to.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, how do you pick the people you want to interview, and how do you contact them? Or is it already someone you know? How do you do that?
Sure. Yeah, great question. So the podcast is so much fun, first of all. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice when I do my interviews, but I am like, I love it so much, and I'm so passionate about it. So as far as the interviews, I actually have a booking manager. So her name is Stephanie. She's my marketing manager, and she works full time for my company, and she does all the booking for me. So her and I we book guests based on different criteria. There's some guests that we want to have on because we feel like they have a really inspirational story. There's other guests that we want to have on because we want to bring our listeners a specific topic. So we want to really focus on honing in on, okay, this person can bring this topic and cover it really well and really powerfully in a way that our audience can benefit from it. So it just kind of, it varies how we go about selecting the guests, but Stephanie does all the booking. She identifies a list of people. We have kind of a set template that we use, and, does the outreach. And, every week we see people, popping in on our calendar, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Okay, so I mean, I've been studying how you do your podcasts, and I'm curious now, how much time? So I understand this is partly Stephanie, but the time invested in researching, and between the research and you actually asking the question, how much do you? Because you sound like if you're the human resource manager for them, knowing their whole career, everything about them. How much time do you spend reading in on them?
No, I have it pretty much down to a science. I can typically prep for an interview in 10 minutes or less and be ready to rock. In the beginning, when I started interviewing people, I would be on their website, and I would be going through their one sheet, and I would be rewriting their bio, and it would take me a lot longer. But as I started doing it more and more, I really just kind of clicked into place with like my routine and what I felt like was going to spark, with my audience. And it's gotten much easier and much more efficient.
I'm very, very impressed, and I don't know how the heck you do it.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you have any advice to someone who is on fire to build their business and is willing to do whatever it takes, but don't have the experience of knowing where to start?
So join one of my coaching programs. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's what we do. So just as I said earlier, go out and find someone that's doing what you want to do and go join their program. You don't have, the thing that's so awesome about the internet today is that anything you want to learn is at your fingertips. Listen to their podcast, buy their course, get in their coaching program, read every blog that they put out. I mean, go find someone that, teaches what you want to learn, and do everything that they say to do. One of the things that we do in my company is every element of our marketing every initiative that we take on, I put the person in my company that's going to run that initiative in the coaching program for the best program available for that. So for example, Stephanie right now is in like 3 different programs. One is for selling on LinkedIn. One is for using Twitter and social media to drive sales. One is for growing and monetizing our podcast. And so we are literally following the exact model designed by someone else that has built a multi-million-dollar business in each of those elements. We're not going to try and reinvent the wheel. We're going to go find the person that's, you know, the best at that. And we're going to use the system they already developed. So that's the biggest shortcut that any of us have available to us today. If you're determined and you want to be successful, cut the years off, you know, the trial and error, and just get down to following the system.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes. I mean, it's perfect.
That's what we do.
Yes. I mean, that's brilliant. In your experience, what is the fastest and the best way to monetize an idea?
Okay. So the best way to monetize an idea is to, before you act on the idea, focus on connecting with the people. So I know that's kind of a backward answer. So one of the struggles that I help people overcome a lot is that, you know, entrepreneurs want to build programs and products and services, and they want to perfect their website, and they want their online presence to be great, and all of these things. And they want to launch these things. And what happens is they launch these things to no one because they don't have an audience. Your platform and your audience is the most important thing for you to be focused on building, so that when you go to launch a product or you go to launch a program, you're, number one, incorporating them in the designing of it. So you're not creating it in a vacuum of your head of what you think you should sell. You're actually having a dialogue with your own audience, the people that are going to be reading your emails or listening to your podcast or tuning into your live cast. You're engaging them in the creation process. So that's number one, is make sure you don't create anything in a vacuum. Number two is focus first on the platform and making sure that you have someone to sell it to. And then thirdly, just make sure that it's an ongoing dialogue and an engagement with your audience. So I always kind of talk to people about the 3-step process: lead generation, nurturing, and conversion. So you have to have something that's bringing new people in your funnel. You have to you know, those actions that are keeping them warm, getting them engaged in your brand, keeping the dialogue going. And then there has to be conversion events. You can go old school and you can have sales consultations over the phone, which I still do, by the way, because my background's in traditional sales and I love selling on the phone, and I still close people like that. On the flip side, you could do webinars or live streaming, and you can sell one-to-many, and you can close people on the spot. And we do that as well. So again, you know, pick your path, commit to it. Focus first on who you're going to sell it to, and making sure that it's designed with them in mind, with their feedback, all of that. Work more at building the platform and the audience, and then they're going to buy whatever you sell anyway, if that makes sense. And to be honest with you, Annica, I wish someone had taught me that when I started my business. I wish someone had had that conversation with me when I started my business.
Yes, I have actually seen, this mistake was not me, but a friend of mine had an idea. She started building her program. She did a beautiful website. She invested a small fortune in Facebook ads for nothing.
Yeah. And that happens every single day. And that happens every single day, because no one wants to be like, whoa, slow down, Charlie. You know, it's not pretty to talk about, like, you know, oh, you need to go out and have an audience, because that is hard work. It is not easy to build an audience. You have to expose yourself. You have to do live video. You have to build a podcast. You have to put yourself out in front of your audience and actually engage with them. You can't build a platform through email. Yeah. Right? Like, you can build a platform through email, but like not in the way we're talking about here. Not in the way that people are like excited to buy whatever you put out in front of them, and no one's talking about it. And so it's something that I think is really important to share, because exactly the story that you just shared, that's not unique. That happens every single day, you know, because people are focusing first on the product and the program, and then trying to figure out who to sell it to, instead of first building an audience and then focusing on creating products specifically for them.
Yeah, which is difficult, because I think there's sometimes I see on Facebook people saying, so I'm creating a new program. What do you guys want to get help with? Which feels like, what, don't you know what you're going to teach us in a
Mm-hmm.
way? So I think
Mm-hmm.
it, personally, for me, I was a little
I
hold
don't
back
like
on
that
that.
either. Yeah, I don't like that either, and that's not how I go about it either. That feels a little uncomfortable to me. Also, I think what it is what we've started doing, and how it's worked for me is we've started building interest lists. So the podcast has been amazing for this because what we do is we create a different content upgrade for almost every single podcast. So then we start seeing themes, right? Like, oh, tons of people, like, for example, we have the Get It Done guide, right? Which is all about mastering your day, getting productive, knowing what to focus on, and getting a system to get it done. Well, that's our biggest opt in point. So for me, I know my audience is saying to me, we need help with productivity, Kelly. Create a product for us that's going to help us be productive, get in control of our time, blah, 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 blah. So I think that by putting things out to your audience and then watching the trends of what they do with what you share with them, they're going to speak to you. They're going to let you know what they need. So there's a lot of different ways of going about it, but that's one way that has been, successful for us.
Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you're obviously very successful and a huge action taker. But if you
Yeah.
had to say just three quick, your sharpest skills or your strongest in your toolbox, what is it that makes you so very good at your job?
Yeah. Number one is focus. Like, I am so focused. It takes the only thing, like, I don't get distracted. Like, I pretty much am set on, like, I understand what needs to get done and it's going to get done. And I think that's my number one strength. I think my number two strength is leadership. So because I came from that background, I understand how to build a team around me. I understand how to stay focused, working in my own genius zone, and how to make sure that the right people on my team are set up in the right jobs so that together as a team, we can function like a well-oiled machine. So I think that's the number two thing. And then exactly what you said, imperfect action. We take imperfect action constantly. The things that we put out are certainly not perfect, but they work. They make us money. Every now and then someone will be, this thank you page didn't have a comma, here. It's imperfect. I acknowledge it. That's going to be what it is. But you know what? We're growing, we're making money, we're successful, we're having fun. That's what it's all about. So I think the fact that I'm okay with not being perfect has been a huge advantage for us in the growth of the company.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask you about books, not necessarily yours, but I mean, you can answer yours. So I wanted to ask you, do you have a great book to recommend, something you've read that you really liked that helped you?
I always recommend Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I know everyone's aware of it, and I know most people have read it, but you know what? I think I've read it 15 times. And I would say keep reading that book over and over and over again until you accomplish your goals and dreams. I don't think you can read it too many times because, I mean, it totally changed my life. Just the fact that when you read that book, you really, if you're actually absorbing what is being said there, you really are realizing, like, you're in total control. Like, you're not a victim. You're in total control. And everything that you say and do, every conversation that you have, every interaction, everything, you're shaping your own outcome. And, I like that. It's accountability and responsibility, but it's also opportunity. And I think that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I also love Think and Grow Rich. Last year in June, I had a rough time that made me think, oh, on a daily basis, I had this feeling, oh my God, I'm not sure I can do this. And then there's this chapter where he says, you cannot doubt yourself. You cannot. You just have to. And then I was like, take that sentence back and it will be okay. I can do this. Continue.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the greatest advantage you've experienced since publishing your book for your business?
Yeah, well, a couple things. So number one, there's a low dollar entry point to enter my ecosystem. And that is why I created the book. Because initially when I started my business, I started off doing one-to-one coaching. So it was a multi-$1,000 investment to work with me. And so there was a lot of people kind of gathering that had interest in what I was doing, but it was too big of a leap for them. Then I moved to group coaching. Then I launched, courses. And, I have been very focused on building my audience. And for me, one of the main reasons for doing the book was to have a starting point in the ecosystem that was $10 or less, where people could get to know me. They could understand the value that I can offer, how I can help them, the difference that I can make, and then slowly start moving them up through the cycle and up through the different, maybe they go from the book to an online course, and from an online course to a group coaching program, and from a group coaching program to private consulting, and from private consulting into my mastermind or into a private VIP day. So it kind of completed the ecosystem, if that makes sense. And I've already seen that working. I've seen many people that came in through the book launch that are now joining the programs because they felt I think with the internet too, people feel like they have to do a little bit more due diligence now. We've all made mistakes. We've all made buying mistakes. And it's very easy for anyone to slap up an ad and say that they're this or say that they're that. And then you arrive in their program or you arrive in their course and it's not what you thought. I think a book is a way for virtually no risk for someone to get to know you and really see if you're the real deal and understand your background, get some value, and then from there decide what that next investment level is going to be for them. And I'm seeing that happen already. And so I think for me, that was the biggest advantage. I know for a lot of other people, the book is primarily used for speaking opportunities and a lot of other things. I don't focus a lot on speaking because I really try to stay local because my daughter's 2 and I don't want to be on a plane all the time. That's one of the reasons why I'm, entrepreneur, so that I don't have to be away from my family. So down the road, when she's older, the book will become a business card for speaking engagements. But right now that is not the focus of what I want to do with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's, both for you, it's a smart move. And also it's a very honest way to invite people who don't have the budget to go for your bigger packages. Because it is really a good book.
Thank you.
I haven't read to the last page, but for someone who wants to get value, they will get it at a very low cost with this book.
Yeah. Thank you. And that is the goal. That is the goal, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. What are you most excited about for the next coming 6 months?
Definitely the podcast. I mean, the podcast has been unbelievable. We have people every single week joining our programs, joining our email list, becoming a part of the community, writing in and sharing how it's helping them. For me, I feel like for the first time in my business, I can come full circle because my programs are very, very focused on business growth strategy. That's what I do, is I teach people how to grow their business. With the podcast, I have an opportunity to balance life success with business strategy. And for me, that's very, very fulfilling because I think that your success in business has as much to do with mindset and the decisions that you make outside of the quote unquote office as it does inside the office, if that makes sense. So I feel very fulfilled having the ability to do 3 shows a week and get to select what I'm going to talk about and what I'm going to focus on and who I'm going to interview and, all of that. It's just, I think I have an opportunity to help more people that way. Obviously it's free. So I can help as many people as want help. Right. And it's a ton of fun. So that's what I'm most excited about for sure.
Yeah. Great. I was at the airport flying back from my father's birthday party, and I was listening to one. I don't remember the name of the man you were interviewing, but I almost panicked because I didn't have a pen and I wanted to write down stuff.
I love it.
So it was really
That's
good.
great.
Really
That's
good.
really good. Yeah. And it's cool too, because I feel like, I do 2 shows a week on my own. One's a teaching segment and one's an Ask Kelly segment where people write in questions and I answer those. And then one's the guest segment. So it's really nice because I know the areas that are not my areas of expertise and I can fill those gaps with people that are. And that's what's so awesome about it. I feel like I can kind of give people the full picture, even covering the areas that I'm not necessarily an expert in, which is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So Kelly, if you only had one more opportunity to share your message with the world and hopefully make an impact, what would be your words?
Be happy today. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we spend our entire lives trying to chase happiness and get something or achieve something that's going to make us happy. And I think the second that you realize that you can be happy right now, and you should be happy right now with everything you already have, everything you've already accomplished, everything you're already experiencing, that's when you open the floodgates to everything else that's possible for you and welcome more into your life. So be happy now.
Yeah, I love that. Have you read the book Blink?
No, I should. I've heard of it. I should read it. I'll grab it.
The best phrase in that book, speaking about being happy, is that someone did a study about the face muscles.
Okay.
And what we think reflects on the face.
Okay.
But so they wanted to know the other way around. If I do this, will it affect my brain, or if I smile? And it is scientifically proven that if you do this, it will set up the brain so that you are happy.
Wow.
And last night when my car broke down, I was sitting in the car like this. So, yes.
I love that. That's great. Okay, I'm definitely getting the book. Thank you for sharing that. And that was a great example.
Yeah, it's an intellectual adventure. Sometimes it's, but it's really good.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so for everyone who wants to connect with you and check out your programs, they go on to www.kellyroachcoaching.com, right?
Yep, that's my home base. Yeah.
Is there anything do you have an offer going on or something?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, I'll share the Get It Done guide, because we talked a lot today about productivity and being successful, and it all starts with managing your time. So if anyone listening wants to get a copy of that, you can text Get It Done to 44222, and I'll send you, Annica, a landing page that you can share with this, that people can access it directly on.
Awesome.
And also one more thing, the Automation Secrets book. So automation-secrets.com. And that's my top 5 strategies for things that you can systematize and automate and really put in place in your business so that the business can kind of run on autopilot with or without you, versus you working 24 hours a day, which is always helpful. So automation-secrets.com.
Automation-secrets?
Secrets, yep.
Okay, .com. Okay, so I'm so excited to say this. It's what you say when you end your podcast. Now I'm going to let you say it. So please say what you say at the end of the podcast.
I always say, dream big, take action, and don't stop until you make it happen.
I love that. I also love, where did I get this? Is it from your book? Your thoughts must lead to commitment, and that commitment must lead to action.
Yeah, that's the book. That's it.
It's a really good book.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Kelly, thank you so much for this. I could go on asking you questions until tomorrow.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And I just had an intruder. That's what it's like being an entrepreneur.
Hi. Oh, I know. Hey, I'm right there with you.
Oh my God.
So thank you so much for having me. You've been such a gracious host.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.